The story begins with a young man named Jack, who is part of a terrifying, creepy game. The game's host is Barry, who always wears a mask. Terrified, Jack says, "You said, if I win this game, you'd let me go home." Barry laughs and replies, "Yes, but this is the last round. Only after this will it be decided whether you can go." Barry gives Jack 3 boxes and says, "Pick a box. If you pull the correct cord, you'll be able to go home." When Jack pulls the cord on one box, a shotgun pops out of the box. Barry says slowly, "Congratulations, you've won a shotgun." Jack prays for his life. "Please let me go." But Barry presses a button and kills Jack with no hint of feeling. The story then shifts to 4 friends who go to a luxury cabin for a birthday treat. It's James's parents' cabin. They party all day. As night falls, they hear noises outside the cabin. They assume someone has come to the cabin. James goes out to see what happened, but Milsa startles him. James says, "I could have killed him just now." Milsa says, "It was a prank, James." There they find an old camera recorder. He brings the camera inside the cabin. James says, "Let's turn it on and see what's recorded on it." Anita says, "I don't like this. Don't do it." James says, "You play the tape." Anita says, "We don't like you. We're only with you for your parents' money." And she rips the tape. James, furious, says, "Get out of my house right now. They're my friends, and when your mother's death happens, I'll enjoy the show." Anita, furious, goes upstairs. James follows her and says, "You're a good person." Anita replies, "I was really breaking down emotionally because of my mother's illness, so I came here just to get some rest." Just then, someone quietly sneaks into the cabin. It's Matt. He had been cleaning the place, but suddenly notices that the house has gone completely silent. He starts calling out to everyone, but no one answers. Matt's eyes fall on the camera. The camera suddenly turns on by itself. Matt heads upstairs, into Anita's room. She's lying unconscious. Then he goes into Melissa's room. She's unconscious too. He then looks for James, but right then, a strange man appears and injects Matt with something, knocking him out. In the next scene, all 4 of them are seen chained up. Anita wakes up first and wakes the others. The 4 stare in shock. A strange man, Barry, is setting up a camera, as if a show is about to begin. Barry is busy preparing. Melissa calls out to Barry, but he doesn't respond. Then Barry announces, "The show is starting." He introduces each of them by name, one by one. Anita, astonished, asks, "How does he know us?" Barry replies, "Now we'll play the first round, called Rock, Paper, Scissor, Shoot." Anita asks, "And then you'll let us go?" Barry, in a cold tone, says, "Only one winner goes home." Barry walks out of the room and comes back holding a cutter. James whispers, "Who's behind this prank?" Everyone says, "Not us." The game begins. Melissa gets paper. Barry cuts her lip. Matt gets rock. Barry hits him with a stone. James gets scissors. Barry cuts his fingers. Anita and James both get scissors, so Barry tells Anita to choose. "Shoot or scissor?" Anita says. "Shoot." Barry pulls out a gun and fires, but it turns out to be a lighter. The 4 look at each other, thinking, "One of us must have done this." Just then, Barry returns again and says, "Now we'll play the second round, called the confession round." He says coldly, "Every person in life has done something bad, something that's caused pain to someone else." Barry says, "You must confess. Tell us any bad thing you've done." If one person answers correctly, the other 3 can leave. Barry starts with James. He tells James about hitting someone on the road and asks, "Tell me, what bad thing did you do?" James replies, "I had an accident and my father blamed someone else. That girl died." Barry asks for the name. James says, "Her name was actually different." Next, it's Anita's turn. She says, "I used to run an adult website, and with that money I paid for my mother's treatment." Barry does nothing to Anita. Then it's Matt's turn. He says, "I was involved in an online scam, but it wasn't really my fault. A group dragged me into it." Barry doesn't do anything to him either. Finally, it's Milsa's turn. She says, "I sold dogs for illegal dog fights." Barry doesn't do anything to Milsa either. Barry says, "So far, none of your confessions were correct, so we'll spin the wheel." He brings Milsa forward and spins the wheel. It stops on the viewfinder pin. Milsa looks at the pictures on the pin and answers correctly. But suddenly, that pin shoots into Milsa's eye. Barry spins again, and it lands on the drill machine. Barry tells Anita to use the drill. Drill by Matt's ear for 23 seconds. Following Barry's instruction, Anita runs the drill by Matt's ear. Anita drops the drill and Barry screams maniacally, "You broke the rule! You dropped the drill!" He takes the tape out of the camera and puts it into the recorder. After a short break, Barry returns. The next round is wildcard. A question will be asked, and the highest score wins. Barry says, "We asked 100 people. Which body part hurts the most? Whoever gives the correct answer wins." Barry first asks Matt. Matt says, "My head hurts." Then he asks Milsa. She says, "My knee hurts from standing so much." Anita says, "My stomach hurts." James says, "My muscles will hurt when I kill you." Barry pulls out a sheet of paper with the results and says, 31 people said head, 22 said muscle, and stomach. No one said that. Then, in a cold voice, he adds, "So Anita, you've lost this game." Matt objects. "Your math is wrong. The numbers don't add up." Barry smiles, pulls another slip from his pocket and says, 23 people said stomach, which means Milsa lost. He flips the chains and uses a hydraulic cutter to cut Milsa. Her body is dragged out of the room. Barry stands in front of a mirror and makes cutting marks on his own face. Then he plays a video on the TV. It shows a woman bound in chains being cut apart. Barry comes up to Anita and tears his mask off his face. Here comes the twist. Anita, sobbing, says, "I'm sorry, Barry." Barry silently walks out of the room. James, stunned, asks, "What is all of this?" Then the truth is revealed. Anita used to work on Barry's old show. Before that show was shut down, 3 members of Barry's team, Jack, his friend, and Anita, had accused Barry of sexual harassment. In a flashback, we see, one day, while Anita was cutting her birthday cake, Barry casually put his hand on her shoulder. Jack and his friends recorded it and used that to accuse Barry of harassing Anita. After that, Barry lost his job. His career was ruined. At a lawyer's office, we see Anita signing papers and receiving a large settlement as compensation. The story returns to the present. Barry comes back, carrying a bag. James says in a trembling voice, "We know you were wronged, but why punish us? My father could set your life straight." Barry answers slowly, "Can your father give me back my youth? Can he give me back my wife? Can he give me back my child?" Rage and grief burn together in his eyes. James, crying, says, "Everything can be fixed. Just let me get out of here." Barry, in a cold voice, says, "All right, I'll send your father to you." Then Barry somehow brings in the severed head of James's father's lawyer and looks at Anita, saying, "Eat his tongue." Shaking, Anita obeys and takes the tongue in her mouth. Meanwhile, James frees himself from the chains from behind and jumps at Barry. Barry falls to the ground but immediately presses a button, and sparks of electricity and smoke fill the room, knocking everyone unconscious. After the break, Barry returns. He locks Anita and Matt in a small room. Then he hands a knife to Anita and says, "To get out of here, the key to the door is with one of you." The room smells of blood. James's stomach had already been cut, so Anita is forced to cut his belly to retrieve the key. But the key doesn't open the door. It's an electronic lock. James slowly dies, and Barry's terrifying voice echoes, "Now there's a knife between the two of you. One will die, and one will live." Matt looks at Anita and says, "I love you." Then he stabs himself in the throat, committing suicide. Gas begins to fill the room. Anita loses consciousness. When she wakes, she finds herself in Barry's room. She washes her face and enters the adjacent room. Barry stands there, his face twisted in the same calm distortion as before. He says, "Let's play the final game. Box choice." Anita selects a box. Inside is a birthday cake. Barry says slowly, "I used to be a good man, but today, the reason I've become this is you. You ended me trying to save your mother." Crying, Anita says, "I'm sorry." Barry smiles coldly. "Sorry doesn't mean anything now." He shoves Anita's face into the cake. "Once you're free." At first, Anita smiles, but suddenly, smoke rises from the cake. Her skin begins to melt. There was acid inside the cake. Anita screams and collapses to the floor. Barry looks into the camera and delivers his final line. The show is over.